In my 3rd month of pregnancy, my husband's grandmother came to lay down the rules. She deliberately killed the dog I had raised for 3 years and made soup with it to disgust me. At the dinner table, she boasted triumphantly, "The meat of this little beast raised on expensive dog food is so tender." After the meal, she made me kowtow to her 40-year-old turtle and acknowledge it as my god, grandmother. I obediently complied. Little did she know, accepting a god grandmother is easy, but getting rid of one is hard. My own grandmother is a contrarian. My mother is a fierce woman. They've been fighting their whole lives, clashing whenever they meet. Growing up around them, I mastered the ways of mother-in-law and daughter-in-law dynamics from a young age. People feared me, dogs ran from me, but unfortunately, I married into a gentle family where I had no chance to use my skills. Life went smoothly. I gained 6 pounds. When I went to the traditional Chinese medicine clinic for weight loss tips, the pulse diagnosis revealed I was pregnant. The doctor said the first 3 months of pregnancy are crucial. My in-laws treated me with extreme care, afraid I might bump into something or have any mishap. By the 3rd month of my pregnancy, an elderly woman had moved into our home. The moment our eyes met, I knew we were on the same wavelength. The troublemaker everyone dislikes had arrived. Her gaze was exactly like how my grandma used to look at my mom, always finding fault where there was none. My usually cheerful mother-in-law was pale, kneeling on the floor and wiping an inch by inch with a tissue. My reasonable father-in-law trembled like a quail, not daring to make a sound as he poured tea for her. My husband called out blankly, "Grandma." Then he pulled me back to our room. "Honey, pack our bags. Let's stay elsewhere for a few days. You're pregnant and shouldn't be stressed." 3,000 yuan appeared in my phone, transferred by my in-laws. Their intention was clear. They wanted us to stay outside for now. We could only move back after his grandma returned to her hometown. Is she that terrifying? More than terrifying. She's an absolute nightmare. My husband briefly recalled the old lady's dark history. When he was 6, the old woman stewed the rabbit he'd raised for 2 years and tricked him into eating the meat. After he finished, she showed him the bloody rabbit fur. My husband cried in terror while the old woman spat melon seed shells at his face, scoffing, "It's just an animal. Why cry like it's the end of the world? No backbone at all. Don't you dare tell people you're Agnes Zhao's grandson. Listen here, you little brat. An animal will always be an animal, even if you raise it for 20 years. It can never compare to family." When my mother-in-law came to comfort him, the old woman kicked her. "You jinx, always moping around, teaching my grandson useless nonsense. It's just a dead rabbit. What, are you trying to kill me next?" That kick caused my mother-in-law to miscarry. It was a 3-month-old female fetus. She wept uncontrollably at the hospital. Back home, the old woman puffed on her pipe and declared, "Good riddance to a worthless girl." Why all the tears? My father-in-law couldn't take it anymore and confronted her. "That's your own granddaughter." The old lady curled her lips. "What granddaughter? She's not even fully developed. How dare you call that unborn child my granddaughter? What's so great about a granddaughter? Girls are just money pits. That kick saved you so much expense. Instead of being grateful, you're here demanding explanations? You're truly an ungrateful wretch, forgetting your own mother after taking a wife." Father-in-law was so angry, he decided to leave with mother-in-law and husband, refusing to live with the old lady anymore. The matter was brought before the village chief. Among the older generation, filial piety mattered most. Father-in-law was clumsy with words. The old lady, silver-tongued, twisted facts, and through this commotion, made father-in-law's family appear as heartless, disobedient descendants who defied their elders. The old lady also favored eldest uncle, using father-in-law and mother-in-law's wages to support him through college and buy him a property in the city. Later, when eldest uncle married his boss's daughter, the old lady went to live luxuriously with them, finally leaving father-in-law's family alone. Outside the door, The old lady was scolding father-in-law. You ungrateful little beast. Now that you've made it big, living in a mansion and driving luxury cars, you just stand by and watch your elder brother's family eat husks and vegetables? Do you think you're so great now? Feeling proud of yourself, aren't you? Mom, we don't feel that way at all. Shut up, you vixen. If it weren't for your scheming, would my son ever disobey his own mother? Don't think just because you sneaked off to another city behind my back that I can't find you. Remember, the monk may run away, but the temple remains. All these years, I've been keeping accounts of every penny you owe your elder brother. The old woman threw down a yellowed notebook. Father-in-law picked up the account book and flipped through a couple of pages. Mom, when did we ever owe elder brother over 400,000? What do you mean over 400,000? It's precisely 478, 651 yuan and 37 fun. If your brother hadn't jumped into the river to save you back then and ruined his health, he would have been selected by the army and become a high-ranking official. And this amount is already discounted because you're my own son and his own brother. You heartless little beast. Not only have you made no effort to make up for the harm done to your eldest brother, but you're hiding from me with this jinx. Don't call me mom. I don't have a shameless son like you. It wasn't your eldest brother who saved Jiamin. It was Jiamin who saved your eldest brother. Mother-in-law couldn't stand it and tried to explain on father-in-law's behalf, but was met with a sharp slap across the face. You troublemaker, when I'm speaking to my son, who gave you the right to interrupt, if I say it was the eldest who saved him, then it was the eldest. Enough nonsense. I came here on serious business. My eldest grandson is getting married in a few days. Clean up this house and vacate it in 2 days for Tung Fei to use as his wedding home. No, this house is for Miao Miao and Zizhou. Mother-in-law clutched her red, swollen cheek and refused outright. You jinx, who gave you the right to speak? As I spoke, I walked to the dog crate and let Kiki out. Kiki is a Malinois, very protective of her owner, attacking wherever pointed. She's just too energetic and always clinging to me. After I became pregnant, my in-laws kept Kiki in a cage to prevent her from accidentally bumping into me. Kiki, go! Upon hearing the command, Kiki dashed toward my in-laws like lightning. Under the Malinois threat, the old lady was forced to jump onto the sofa, her thin legs trembling like twigs. You, don't come closer. I'm not afraid of you. No, don't bite me. Are you all dead? Hurry up and stop her. Ush, help. My in-laws stood frozen in place. I helped my mother-in-law up with concern. Mom, your face is swollen. Zhou, go buy some anti-inflammatory medicine for Mom from the pharmacy downstairs. Hearing my voice, Kiki happily came to my side, nuzzling against me. Good dog. I rewardingly rubbed Kiki's head. Seeing this, the old lady quickly snapped back to reality and pointed at my nose, shouting angrily, Fine, you little hussy, ordering this wolfhound to abuse an elder. Are you? Slaughter this dog properly, kneel before me, and kowtow to apologize, or I'll make my grandson divorce you. Let's see what a worn out second-hand goods like you can do then. Mom, Miao Miao and Xiao Zhou have a very good relationship. Divorce is impossible. When my mother-in-law spoke up for me, the old lady glared at her again. I patted Kiki's rear. Woof, woof, woof. This time, Kiki not only barked at the old lady, but also lunged toward her, and I made no move to stop it. After a few rounds of this, the old lady closed her eyes and fainted. After she fainted, my mother-in-law transferred me another tens of thousands of yuan. Miao Miao, hurry and go into hiding with Xiao Zhou. You helped Mom and Dad by using Kiki. We'll always remember this favor, but that old lady isn't someone to be trifled with. When she wakes up, who knows what schemes she'll devise to make trouble for you. Yes, Miao Miao, you're carrying a child. The doctor said you shouldn't have big emotional swings. Let your parents handle any troubles. Just treat this as a honeymoon with Xiao Zhou. Mom, Dad, what kind of talk is that? The old lady may be difficult, but I'm no pushover either. As for the baby, don't worry. If it can't handle a little turbulence, it doesn't deserve to be Lin Miao's child. In the evening, after dinner was ready, the old lady slowly woke up. At the dining table, she deliberately picked a fight. Is this meat stewed so tough because you want to ruin my teeth? Don't you know I don't eat seafood? And you still made smoked fish on purpose. Now that living standards have improved, you're starting to waste food. Huh? For people and ate dishes. As she spoke, she tried to put the beef and smoked fish in front of me into the fridge. Put it down. I said, put it down. Didn't you hear me? So you won't listen to reason. Huh? Kiki, go. Amid the dogs barking, the old lady resentfully set down her bowl and chopsticks. I tilted my head and looked at her. If the meat's too tough for your teeth, just have some porridge. Do you know why lived elders live so long? My husband timidly chimed in. Because they love millet porridge. It's good for health. Wrong, because they're smart enough to know who not to mess with. I looked at the old lady. Grandma, you're a smart one, aren't you? The old lady didn't speak, just glared at me. Kiki, yes, yes, yes. Woof, woof, woof. Are you crazy? I got it right, and you're still setting your dog on me. Lift your foot, you're stepping on its toy. With Kiki around, the old lady didn't dare cause trouble at night anymore. That night, as we slept, my husband held my waist, tears soaking my shoulder, crying like a child. Meow meow, why did it take you so long to come? Wah, I wish I'd met you sooner. Sniff, I love you, wife. We had sweet dreams all night. In the morning, my husband fed Kiki. After searching everywhere, there was no sign of Kiki. He looked at me with rimmed eyes. What should we do? Honey, Kiki is gone. As he spoke, he suddenly thought of something. He rushed to the kitchen and found a pool of blood there. There were also a few strands of black fur in the trash can, identical to Kiki's. My husband angrily confronted the old lady. Tell me, did you kill Kiki? You little beast. How dare you speak to your grandma like that? Have you no conscience? I woke up early to cook for you. And this is the thanks I get? It was you. You stewed my rabbit back then too. Mason Moo, control your son. He's over 20 years old with no manners. Shouting at his elders like this. My father-in-law was called out, with my mother-in-law following behind. The old lady grabbed my mother-in-law. Tell me, you woke up earlier than me. Did you see me kill the dog? And no, I didn't. My mother-in-law replied with tearful eyes. Forget it. It's not a big deal. We can look for it after dinner. It's not like it'll get lost. Exactly. Our granddaughter-in-law is so sensible. At the dining table, the old lady served me a bowl of meat soup. Granddaughter-in-law, you're the reasonable one. Not like these others who understand nothing. A beast is just a beast. Even if you raise it for 2 or 3 years, or even decades, can it ever compare to a human? You're absolutely right. Everything is destined by fate. Don't blame an old woman like me for speaking harshly, but if Kiki ended up being killed for meat, that would be its destiny too. It's not anyone's fault. Just either it committed too many sins in its past life, or its owner did. Granddaughter-in-law, don't you think I'm right? I nodded. Grandma's words are naturally wise. She nodded in satisfaction. Only after seeing me finish the entire bowl of soup did her expression change. And she asked with a grin, the soup tastes good, doesn't it? Very flavorful. Of course it is. It's made from that little beast raised on expensive dog food. My husband angrily slammed his bowl on the ground. I knew it was you who did it. You little brat. Shut your mouth. Who gave you the right to speak? Looking for a spanking, aren't you? After scolding my husband, she turned to lecture me. And you thing relying on a dog's power. I gave you some respect out of courtesy, and you really thought I was afraid of you? Without that Malinois, what are you even worth? Go piss and look at your reflection. That face of yours spells misfortune for husbands. Only this clueless fool would ever want you. She grew more pleased with herself as she spoke, laying down several rules for me. Carried away by her enthusiasm, she even told me to consider her 40-year-old turtle as my grandmother. I've raised this turtle for 40 years. It could be your grandma. Accepting you as its granddaughter is an honor. Don't be ungrateful." I nodded in agreement. However, after searching for a long time, she couldn't find that 40-year-old turtle. I leisurely stood up, fished a turtle shell out of the soup, washed it, dried it, and handed it to her. "Oh, Grandma, this wouldn't be the grandmother you were talking about, would it?" Gazing at that bowl of turtle soup, I sighed sincerely. After 40 years of nurturing, this old beast truly makes a more nourishing soup than those raised for just 3 to 5 years. "Grandma, your taste is impeccable." The old lady deliberately disgusted me, yet she ate the most during the meal. She devoured it greedily, and when she saw I wasn't eating, she criticized me for having poor taste and being ungrateful. Now, upon learning that the meat soup was made from the old turtle she had raised for 40 years, she clung to its shell, wailing as if mourning more bitterly than for her deceased husband. "My poor Agoy, which heartless monster killed you? I'll make them pay with their life." I sobbed beside her. "God, grandmother, even if you descend to the 18th layer of hell, don't forget to seek vengeance on those who devoured you." How pitiful, living to 40, a venerable elder among turtles, only to die in such humiliation. May you rest in peace and be reborn into a better life. Prompted by my words, the old lady retched uncontrollably. After vomiting, she glared at me venomously. "You wretched little beast. Karma will strike you down." "Grandma, what are you talking about? Didn't you tell Xiaozhou that if the owner lacks virtue, they can't protect their pets? Look how you lecture your descendants. But when it comes to yourself, you refuse to admit any fault. That's not right. You sharp-tongued little shrew." "I'm no shrew. A shrew would scratch, bite, and kick. Anyone who offends her will be lucky to escape with just their skin peeled off. I'm much gentler than that." Humph. The old lady hugged the turtle shell and ran off angrily. My husband looked at me with admiration. Father-in-law jumped up excitedly. Mother-in-law said with full respect, "Meow meow, you really have a way with words." Father-in-law chimed in, "Yes, leave this to me. Xiaozhou, take your wife out to buy a gold bracelet and enjoy yourselves." I smiled and nodded, then glanced at the pile of vomit mother-in-law had cleaned up and said, "Mom, don't throw that away yet. I have a use for it. Come here, let me tell you." To disgust me, the old woman deliberately vomited all over the living room instead of going to the bathroom, thinking this method could hurt me. Too childish. Hasn't she heard the saying, while the priest climbs a foot, the devil climbs 10 foot? At the gold shop, my husband was overjoyed, trying on pieces left and right. I was fine, compared to buying gold bracelets. I preferred battling the wicked old woman and watching her suffer defeat. After leaving the gold shop, I stopped by my bestie's place to drop off Kiki's toy ball and bought some dog food and treats for her. When my husband saw Kiki, he was too emotional to speak. "Kiki, you're really alive." Daddy was so worried. Boo-hoo. He looked so pathetic, even Kiki couldn't be bothered to acknowledge him. My bestie shot me a look and gestured toward her head. "Is Ethan Moo's brain okay? Just the old hag's PTSD acting up." "Don't worry, I'm a professional at handling toxic old women." "Queen, let your humble servant bow in admiration." As we left, Ethan Moo spotted a familiar figure by the fish tank again. "Honey, how did it end up here? What did you expect? Slaughter a 40-year-old turtle just like that? Am I a butcher or some evil witch? Then what about the grandmother's shell you fished out? Bought it from the market." "Wah, honey, you're truly an angel, beautiful inside and out." Mu Zezhou was utterly moved. On the way home, he pestered me, asking how I managed it. "It's nothing, just giving her a taste of her own medicine. I know that vicious old woman inside out. I can tell what she's scheming just by the way she twitches." After being terrified by Kiki earlier, she'd grown to despise the dog intensely, killing Kiki and serving her to me as soup. 2 birds with 1 stone. What a malicious plan. Too scared to approach Kiki, she deliberately laced the dog's food with sleeping pills. She intended to kill Kiki when the opportunity arose, but she didn't know I'd trained Kiki to avoid medicated food. Meanwhile, I slipped something into her calming tonic when she wasn't looking. It left her dazed and confused, sleeping straight through till dawn. I then smeared blood on her hands and tossed dog fur in the trash. Elderly people often have poor memory and generally unstable mental states. While she slept, I whispered by her ear, pretending to be Kiki, demanding vengeance. Upon waking, still disoriented, my performance convinced her she had truly killed Kiki, filling her with smug satisfaction. With mother-in-law around, the old woman wouldn't personally handle tasks like stewing meat, so she only saw the blood clots, unaware what meat was in that pot. After all, before me, no one had dared challenge her authority like this. I wouldn't explain the details to Muzajo. I just patted his head to comfort him. Don't worry, with me here, you won't relive your childhood trauma. Dealing with vicious old women like her is my specialty. Muzajo obeyed without pressing further, just whimpering and crying in my arms like a puppy. Wah, if only I'd met you sooner. My love, damn this wretched fate. Why didn't it bring my wife to me sooner? After all his grumbling and complaints, he clutched my hand, full of tenderness. Darling, you must have suffered so much to get where you are now. My heart aches for you. I lower my head, shoulders trembling slightly. I used every ounce of strength to keep from laughing out loud, but Muzajo mistook it for heartbroken sobs. Don't worry, my love. I'll cherish you even more from now on. This silly fool is so easy to fool. Hee, as if I've ever suffered hardships. I've been sweet, tongued, and clever since childhood. Quick-witted in making things work. Even though my mom and grandma fought like cats and dogs, both doted on me, competing to see who held more importance in my heart. My mom taught me how to recognize a wicked mother-in-law and how to escape unscathed from her clutches. My grandma taught me petty tricks for dealing with mothers-in-law, warning me not to be naively moved by my in-law's gestures. Since childhood, I've known that the conflict between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law hinges on the man and the distribution of resources. I know how to achieve the greatest gains with the smallest losses, how to avoid breaking face while leaving the other party with no way out. Meeting me was just retribution for the old lady's lifetime of misdeeds. Back home, I placed the special gift I'd prepared for the old lady on her nightstand and slipped out of the room. Soon enough, she fell right into the trap. She came running over with filthy hands, raging like a madwoman. Who on earth put that pile of garbage in front of me? I corrected her. Grandma, that's not garbage. It's the god grandmother you vomited up. Don't you remember? You little wretch. Got tricks up your sleeve with nowhere to use them. Huh? What were you thinking putting that pile next to me? As she ranted, she started gagging. Her mouth opened, ready to vomit right in the living room. I pinched her mouth shut. Grandma, careful or the god grandmother might come back for you. The old lady was so furious, she stamped her feet. I slunk back to the bathroom and hugged the toilet as I vomited for what felt like ages. When there was finally nothing left in my stomach, I came out to confront her again. You heartless little brat. How dare you bully an old woman? Aren't you afraid of being struck by lightning? Grandma, what are you talking about? It was God, grandmother, who appeared to me in a dream. I only dared to return her to you because I was following her instructions. Otherwise, how would a junior like me ever dare to offend you? A dream? Keep acting. If she could really appear in dreams, why wouldn't she appear to me? Grandma, have you forgotten? You said yourself that God, grandmother, is the divine turtle you raised for 40 years. Highly spiritual. She knows who treated her well. And naturally, she knows who carries heavy karmic debts. She didn't appear to you because your aura of malice is too strong. She feared that after appearing to you, she'd be struck by that malice, affected by the vengeful spirits clinging to you. At best, it could lead to bloodshed, losing hands or feet. At worst, it could destroy your family and end your lineage. And the closer someone is to you, the heavier their karmic retribution will be. Nonsense. I'll tear your mouth apart. The old woman's blood rushed her head, and she charged at me to hit me. My husband quickly shielded me behind him. Grandma, Meow Meow is pregnant. So what if she is? Perfect timing to abort the baby. Let's see if her dream visitation story is real. The old woman glared venomously, her eyes fixed fiercely on my belly. If looks could kill, I'd have been sliced to pieces by now. To deal with this kind of old hag, you have to strike where it hurts most. Husband, let grandma come. Anyway, God, grandmother said that once this kinship is acknowledged, she'll protect us. If anyone dares harm me, her spirit won't let them off. If you don't believe me, let grandma test it. Meow meow. My father-in-law and mother-in-law gasped in shock. I gave them both a reassuring look. Mom, Dad, don't worry. God, grandmother said retribution would fall on whoever grandma cares about most. Even if something happens, it'll be eldest uncle's family. Our family is virtuous and blessed. You little wench. How dare you curse me? I'll tear your mouth apart. The moment eldest uncle was mentioned, the old woman exploded with rage, was about to charge over and hit me. At the critical moment, her phone rang. The impatient expression on the old lady's face suddenly turned to terror. What did you say? Say it again. After repeated confirmations, the old lady collapsed to the ground, muttering incessantly, Tungfei has been in a car accident. Jianmin, quickly take me to Municipal First Hospital. My husband stood frozen in place, covering his mouth in shock, broken legs and feet. Honey, is this the bloodshed disaster God grandmother warned about? Mother-in-law looked at him helplessly, then glanced at the old lady. Xiaozhou, don't talk nonsense. How is it nonsense? If grandmother hadn't intervened, if grandma hadn't been about to attack my wife, how would cousin have gotten into an accident? Father-in-law looked awkwardly at the old lady. You foolish child. I cleared my throat lightly. The most important thing now is to take grandma to the hospital to visit cousin. Everything else is secondary. People become more superstitious as they age, especially when it comes to matters of life and death. On the way there, the old woman's attitude completely changed. She held my hand and kept asking, Granddaughter-in-law, you're not lying to grandma about that dream, are you? I closed my eyes and thought. My husband chattered nonstop. How could it be fake? Good thing you didn't lay a hand on Meow Meow, Grandma. Who knows what injuries cousin might have suffered otherwise. My mother-in-law shot my husband a glare. Don't talk nonsense. Child, it's not nonsense. It's karma. Since Meow Meow received grandmother's affection, she's someone grandmother acknowledged. All things have spirits. You know, those who do too many immoral deeds won't receive heaven's protection. My husband grew more excited as he spoke. The old woman's face turned pale. Seeing the timing was right, I pinched him to make him shut up. Fortunately, cousin only had a fracture, not too serious, and would recover after some rest. But the hospitalization and surgery fees added up to 20,000 yuan in total, whenever involved eldest uncle's family and required spending money. Father-in-law and mother-in-law were inevitably the ones footing the bill. Asking them to bring the elderly lady over was simply a ploy to pressure them into paying under her domineering influence. In the hospital corridor, eldest aunt wailed dramatically, clutching mother-in-law's hand. Zuifan, you're Tingfei's own aunt. Now that he's suffering in the operating room, you can't just abandon him. Eldest aunt, why are you so biased? Last time when cousin-in-law moved, you treated our Zhezhou like a laborer. When she sprained her foot moving luggage, neither you nor uncle lifted a finger. How come now that something's happened to cousin, my mother has to take responsibility? Since when is that fair? You little brat. Who do you think you are? This is no place for you to speak. Tungfei asked Mu Zhezhou for help to give him a chance to impress his cousin-in-law. If he's unlucky enough to hurt his foot moving luggage, that's his own misfortune. It's just a sprained ankle. Not like you're crippled, making such a fuss and demanding an explanation from Tungfei. If you weren't so petty, would Yanzi have broken up with our Tungfei? I'm already being merciful by not holding you accountable for letting Yanzi, that golden phoenix, slip away and ruining our Tengfei's future. And now you, this disrespectful little brat, dare to ask me for money? Looks like you're tired of living. As she spoke, She raised her hand to slap me. I closed my eyes briefly before opening them to look at the old lady. Agnes Xiao, what are you standing there dumbstruck for? Someone's about to hit your old sister. If you don't protect me, do you want this sin to fall upon your grandson? Upon hearing this, the old lady retaliated with a hard slap. Eldest aunt covered her swollen cheek in disbelief. Mom, have you gone mad? Hitting me over this little brat. Agnes Xiao, can you tolerate someone insulting your old sister like this? Because I certainly can't. Smack. Another hard slap landed. From then on, every time eldest aunt muttered a curse, she received another sharp slap. The slap made her see stars. My husband's family watched with exhilaration in their eyes. For years, eldest aunt had taken advantage of Felix Mu and the old lady's favoritism to bully my husband's family. She'd instigate the old lady to seize father-in-law's salary and hand it to eldest uncle. With a few honeyed words, she'd whisk mother-in-law's jewelry straight onto her own dressing table. As for Mu Zizhou, needless to say, he was the perpetual scapegoat. All the bitterness and hardship fell to him, while all the sweetness and rewards went to Felix Mu. After finally moving away, the two brothers crossed paths again in university. Once Felix Mu learned Mu Zizhou's address, he used it to threaten him into servitude, or else he'd report it to the old lady. After toiling like a beast of burden for 4 or 5 years, when his own wedding funds fell short, Felix Mu simply wagged his tongue and sold out my husband again. On the way to the hospital, I pretended to be possessed by the turtle spirit, leaning close to the old lady to recount all her misdeeds. My grandma's side job was being the village shaman. As a child, I would hide under her fortune-telling table, absorbing knowledge through constant exposure. The elders called her a fraud to her face, yet secretly feared these spirits and supernatural beings, weaving tales of misfortunes with vague implications. Even hitting just 70 or 80% accuracy would make people believe unquestioningly. The most common tragedy was the drowning of baby girls. The old woman had only been slightly superstitious at first, but after hearing my fabricated stories back and forth during the ride, she became a firm believer in me by the time we got off. Soon after, my eldest uncle arrived. My eldest aunt threw herself into his arms, tearfully complaining of her grievances. The old woman explained everything clearly, the turtle spirit and the retribution, though the old woman believed. My eldest uncle was different. He immediately roared angrily. Feudal superstition. How dare you, a little girl, pull this trick? I'll call the police and have you arrested for spreading feudal superstition. His eyes burned like torches, fixed intently on me. The old woman wanted to say something, but in the end, her eldest uncle was her everything. My husband swallowed nervously. My father-in-law ingratiatingly offered him a cigarette. Brother, please calm down. Meow Meow was just joking with your wife. Joking? If joking leaves someone's face beaten like this, I'd say she's nothing but trouble. What does this have to do with my wife? It was eldest aunt who threw the first punch. Besides, it wasn't Meow Meow who hit her. It was grandma protecting her old friend. My husband couldn't hold back and stood up for me. But under the imposing authority of eldest uncle, a seasoned bureaucrat long entrenched in the system, his voice gradually faded. Having flaunted his power enough, eldest uncle pointed at me and scolded my in-laws. A man should marry a virtuous woman. Look at what your family has brought home. Aren't you afraid of becoming a laughingstock? You've shamed me. Once she gives birth, give her a few thousand yuan and make her pack her bags. The Mu family has no use for a daughter-in-law like this. Spurred by eldest uncle's words, the old lady began to waver. So, you lied to me. She rushed forward and grabbed me by the neck. I took the opportunity to fall to the ground. My husband rushed over in panic, pushing the old woman aside. If anything happens to Meow Meow, I'll fight you to the death. How dare you speak to me like that? You're asking for a beating. Eldest uncle raised his leg to kick, but my quick-footed father-in-law kicked him away. He stumbled, nearly falling flat on his face. The commotion attracted a nurse. Quiet. Everyone quiet down. The hallway gained temporary peace. Before long, Eldest uncle approached again, stretching out his hand. I won't hold you responsible for causing trouble in the hospital today. The implied meaning. Settle this with money, brother. We're also heartbroken about Tung Fei's hospitalization, but we're not responsible for what happened to him. As an uncle, I care about my nephew and don't mind spending a few $1,000s. But since all this commotion has disturbed Meow Meow's pregnancy, shouldn't you apologize to her? Hearing father-in-law's words, mother-in-law was so moved she nearly shed tears of joy. After all, father-in-law had been suppressed by eldest uncle his entire life. For him to speak with such conviction was already no small feat. I breathed a sigh of relief, feeling deeply comforted. Thankfully, father-in-law wasn't a pushover. This family still had hope. Eldest uncle scoffed upon hearing this. Apologize? Is she even worthy? He then pointed a finger at father-in-law's forehead and said, Mason Moo, you coward. Think you've grown a backbone now? Since our father didn't teach you how to behave, let me, your elder brother, show you the proper way to speak to your seniors. Do you think having a little money makes you something special? Dreaming of expanding your business and opening branches? Don't even think about it. Father-in-law initially wanted to resist, but after eldest uncle's words, his face turned ashen. Eldest uncle was a department head. To him, father-in-law was just a restaurant owner. No matter how much money he had, running a business required all sorts of permits and licenses. After all, as long as eldest uncle asks his connections in leadership to delay the paperwork, all our upfront investments in rent, utilities, and startup costs would go down the drain. Father-in-law understood this all too well. He closed his eyes and reluctantly conceded with profound resignation. It wasn't a surrender to eldest uncle, but a capitulation to the unwritten rules that operate beyond the official ones. My phone vibrated in my pocket. After checking the message from my bestie, I scribbled a few words on my palm, strode over to eldest uncle, and kicked him hard behind the knee. You wicked creature who's committed every injustice. Kneel and apologize. How dare you? Eldest uncle glared at me with a look that could devour me whole. But the moment I revealed my palm, he froze in place. With the composure of a seasoned master, I struck a concluding pose and lectured him just as he'd patronized father-in-law. Marcus Moo, you have petty cleverness, but lack true wisdom. You must understand, not everything in this world can be explained by science. Shall I expose all your shameful secrets to make you believe who I truly am? Eldest aunt glared with bitter resentment. You little vixen, really enjoying your act, aren't you? Not even fully grown yet, but already pretending to be a master. Husband, teach her a lesson. Shut up, you foolish woman with long hair and short insight. What do you know? Unfortunately, eldest aunt didn't get the backup she expected from eldest uncle. Only a torrent of scolding instead. You carry too much karmic debt. Oh, too much to Mason Moo's family. Do I really need to remind you what to do? I extended my palm, gesturing toward him. Two simple words were written on my palm. Penny Lin. Eldest uncle reluctantly turned his head away. I wasn't in a hurry, and silently mouthed another name. Director Zhou. Penny Lin was Director Zhou's mistress. She hooked up with eldest uncle during a business trip. Coincidentally, my bestie worked in the same department as Penny Lin. At the time, I just listened to it as gossip. Never thought I'd actually get to use it. After having my bestie investigate thoroughly, I used it to confront that old turtle eldest uncle. He was indeed frightened. This was a critical period for his professional evaluation. Eldest uncle naturally didn't want any trouble at this time. After all, it was a public setting. I wouldn't push him to desperation, lest a corner dog leap over the wall. I simply warned him, one shouldn't be too greedy, especially for things that don't belong to you. Otherwise, heaven will disapprove, and next time, it won't be that little brat Felix Moo who suffers. How dare you speak like that? You wretched girl. Believe me, I'll slap you. Control your wife's tongue. Shut up, you fool. Once I had him by the throat, eldest uncle obeyed my every direction. That same day, he booked a private room and specially toasted my father-in-law Law, with an apologetic smile. Jammin, I was wrong all these years. Rest assured, I'll treat you well from now on. Here's all the salary you've subsidized me over the years. A total of 322,800 yuan. Please count it. Marcus Moo, have you lost your mind? Why are you paying this country bumpkin? That's my son's betrothal money. Give it back now, or I'll divorce you. Shut up. My eldest son must have his reasons. Was it the Turtle Immortal's blessing? I knew it. The Turtle Immortal is real. Oh, great Turtle Immortal, please watch over my eldest son's family. Grant them smooth sailing. Inside a private room, eldest uncle offered apologies. Father-in-law was at a loss. Eldest aunt threatened divorce. The old lady knelt to admit her mistakes, begging for the Turtle Immortal's intervention. It was absolute chaos. When father-in-law returned home with the money, he still felt unreal. He clutched mother-in-law's hand. Dear, pinch me. Am I dreaming? Mother-in-law twisted his skin, making him grimace in pain. Ouch, that hurts. It's not a dream. My eldest brother actually repaid the money. Husband's eyes were full of shock. Back in our room, he asked me incredulously, Honey, can you really talk to the turtle spirit? You're so gifted. I smiled and gently booped his nose. Of course, my grandma was the most famous shaman in all the neighboring villages. Sleep now, sweetie, hee. Having you is the best. He chuckled and soon drifted off to sleep. I couldn't help but marvel at how easily fooled this silly man was. Of course, I had no real power to communicate with the turtle spirit. I just used my brains. Felix Moo loved street racing and hitting on girls, but his skills were mediocre at best. I simply created a fake account posing as an edgy groupie, teased him a bit, and dared him to take a spin on the South Bend racetrack. If he could complete the run successfully, I'd spend a week with him. No charge. His little head overruled his big head, and he went without a second thought. South Bend Racetrack was also known as the Ghost Road. With few streetlights at night, countless self-proclaimed racing pros had met with accidents there. It was no surprise a novice like Felix Moo ended up in trouble. A month later, during the public notice period for his appointment, Uncle Chong was reported for ethical misconduct, resulting in his suspension pending investigation. After discovering his infidelity, eldest aunt fought him violently, injuring his family jewels. While trying to break up the fight, Felix was kicked by the enraged eldest uncle, hit his head on the coffee table, suffered a brain injury, and became vegetative. As for the elderly matriarch, the chain of events drove her insane. She'd cling to a turtle shell all day, grinning foolishly. I'll never commit evil deeds again. I was wrong. I truly was wrong. Turtle spirit, spare me. Regarding this, my in-laws could only sigh. Heaven sees all that humans do. Natural disasters can be forgiven, but self-inflicted calamity is unforgivable. My husband foolishly retrieved the 40-year-old turtle from my bestie's house. Turtle spirit, I'll feed you meat. Please bless our family. My bestie called me afterward, deeply concerned. Meow meow. I hope your child doesn't inherit that fool Musajo's IQ. Speaking of which, Musajo kept talking nonsense to the old turtle every day. That evening during a walk, he insisted on going to a lottery station and unexpectedly won 5 million yuan with a random ticket he bought. After that, our family moved into a new house. Truly, fortune favors fools. Or perhaps it's because virtuous families are destined for abundant blessings. May all kind-hearted people be blessed by heaven, enjoy good health, and have harmonious families.